Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Coffee Cutscene. I am Dustin Furman from Handsome Phantom, and we're very happy to have you here. Thanks again for checking out the show, and today we're going to talk about the NES Classic. But real quick, I want to do my weekly coffee shout out. Of course, I'm drinking the organic Aramo from Ritual Coffee. Still fantastic, still rocking it. I'll probably be rocking it for the next week or two. So like I said a minute ago, we are talking today about the NES Classic, this little guy. And you know, it's been a very interesting story of the NES Classic. You know, it kind of came out of nowhere and was this huge success. It was way bigger than I could have imagined as well. I mean, I remember with talking to Brandon, we're like, oh, we'll just go to Walmart at midnight since they're open. We'll just pick one up. And we were really wrong. There was already a huge line there. And we did get ours on release day, but we were one, I think there were 6 maybe at our local GameStop, and we waited in line for like 2.5 hours in the morning. So yeah, it definitely caught me off guard. So you know already, the stock issues have been crazy. This thing has never actually had a steady stock ever. We've gotten basically a little bit of a trickle from Nintendo. So just a couple days ago, Nintendo gave this quote to IGN. Throughout April, NOA territories will receive the last shipments of Nintendo Entertainment Systems, NES Classic Edition systems for this year. We encourage anyone interested in obtaining the system to check with retail outlets regarding availability. We understand that it has been difficult for many consumers to find a system, and that we apologize. We have paid close attention to consumer feedback, and we greatly appreciate the incredible level of consumer interest and support for this product. So there it is. It's what people have worried about for a little while now, that the slow trickle would never turn out to be a big blowout of a million system. It ended up just kind of shutting off. And this left a lot of us scratching our heads. Why would Nintendo do this? Clearly, it was a successful little box. Everyone was trying to get them. If you look on eBay, the prices have been insane for it. If there's one thing I've learned about Nintendo over the years I've been doing games coverage and stuff like that, is that Nintendo never seems to do what I expect them to do, whether it's good or bad. I came up with my top 3 reasons on why it's probably being discontinued. Alright, so number 1 is that it's going to be released again this holiday. I think the NES Classic was a big surprise for them. I'm wondering if maybe they are discontinuing this version of it, and then closer to holiday, maybe around E3, we're going to see a newer, better version, maybe one that has more games on it or something like that. This version is really easy to hack. You can put, I think I saw someone who put the entire NES library on this one box, and I'm guessing Nintendo didn't like that too much. So if there's a revision, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not able to be hacked, at least for a little while. And who knows, maybe this Christmas it'll be the Super Nintendo Classic. I would love to see something like that. And that leads me to reason number 2, is that it really probably isn't a big profit for Nintendo in this little box. I think the NES Classic served a great purpose for them. We had the Switch on the way. E3, we had no Switch, but we had this NES Classic, and throughout Christmas, we had the NES Classic, and it was a great gateway to get Nintendo in the minds of the everyday person. We have Nintendo in the headlines all throughout November, and then all throughout Christmas, as well as after, whether it's for the NES Classic or the Switch. People were talking about Nintendo, and that's a good thing for them. So now that the Switch is out and it's a huge success, I just don't know if a box like this is necessary for Nintendo, especially if it's not making them very much money. It's true that Nintendo makes hardware and software, but primarily I'm going to guess they make almost all their money on software. So if they're only making a tiny amount of profit off this, there's no way to make money on you after it's out. There's no way you can download games. They're going to want to look for potentially a way to push that money into the Switch. Finally, my last reason is that they maybe just have to make a choice with manufacturing between the NES Classic and the Switch. As I said earlier, the Switch is a huge success. We've already seen close to 1 million in North America alone. This is huge. And there's only so many that you can push out at one time with your manufacturing. I don't really know how it works, whether they've got Company A manufacturing Switches and Company B manufacturing NES Classic, but I'm guessing that they want to go full steam ahead on the Switch, being that these things are flying off shelves, and as soon as they make them, people buy them. So I guess the hope could be, if they're not making a second NES Classic or something like that, that they are now moving all of their production force into the Switch. I got 2 community write-ins, so make sure you are following me on Twitter at DustinCanFly in order to be a part of the show. And this week I asked, why do you think that Nintendo discontinued the NES Classic? My first response was from Andrew Cogswell, and he said, because Nintendo is really bad at anticipating what consumers want and delivering on stock. Also, just kind of bad at making business choices. And I do have to agree with this slightly. I mentioned it a little bit earlier that Nintendo really seemed to drop the ball on how many of these they needed to make. And as far as bad business choices, I go back and forth on that, because on one hand, I always think Nintendo is making a bad business choice, yet it continues to do so well. Like the Switch, beforehand I was like, this might be a bad business choice to not release it with that many games. Guess what? It didn't matter. So yeah, there's definitely something to be said about potential bad business choice, but I don't know, it keeps working out for him. Next one comes from our friend Kevin Lucas, and he says, part of me hopes for a Super Nintendo re-release. Part of me thinks they re-release it for a limited time, like they did for some amiibos. Or he said amiibos, maybe he's making fun of me and being a weeb. I don't know, amiibos, is that a thing? Anyway, yeah, the Super Nintendo Classic would be fantastic. I would love to see that. And yeah, the re-release, it would just continue to build hype. When it's re-released, people are like, yes, this is my second chance. Run and get it. Money in the bank. So that's it for this week's Coffee Cutscene. Thanks for checking it out, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed hanging out with me, make sure to subscribe, and then you'll get notified every single week when there's a new Coffee Cutscene, when there's a new adventure mode, or maybe some of the other stuff that we're doing. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at DustinCanFly, and you can also follow Handsome Phantom. Make sure to do that. And my last request, make sure you leave a comment letting me know what you think the reason is behind Nintendo discontinuing the NES Classic. That's all for this episode. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.